This is episode number 3 of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast with Jeff Thornton, Michael Anders, and Jason Sani. Welcome to the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. My name is Jeff Thornton, tech entrepreneur and fitness enthusiast, alongside my co-host, Michael Anders and Jason Sani. Each week we bring you an inspiring person or message related to our 4 pillars of success: manifestation, business, fitness, and nutrition. Thank you for allowing us to join you on your journey. Now let's get started.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of Feed Me, Fuel Me. It's Mike Anders here with Jason Sani and Jeff Thornton. Again, as always, thanks for letting us join you on your journey. Today we're going to talk about why you should stop training for weight loss.
So, talking about the motives of why you're in the gym, why you're training. If pure weight loss is the goal, you're chasing the wrong rabbit hole, or whatever that whole term is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
I had an epiphany the other night, having a conversation with some of our members, and ultimately my wife, who just had our baby 10 weeks ago.
Wow.
And, a lot of people come through those doors at the gym initially with very superficial reasons. You know, they want to lose weight, they want to look better, and that's all fine and dandy. But, over the long term, what I've experienced in almost 20 years of personal training and strength coaching is that those goals never last very long. And my clients, my athletes, my members that have experienced the greatest success over the long term and have really adopted a fit lifestyle were the ones that shifted their attention to more immediate, more gratifying goals, like instead of focusing on what their body looks like or even, how their clothes fit. Once they shifted their perceived notion of enjoyment to, performance parameters, being able to do more, lift more, faster, type, measurements of success, they were able to stick with programs a hell of a lot longer than, waiting for their body to adjust to whatever protocol that we were doing.
I agree. It's to add to that, I mean, even if people can't necessarily relate to the idea of perform from that standpoint, think about it as just being more functional, and it's like, I think, doing more real life types of movements. If you connect going to the gym with putting in time, like, I got to get my hour in at the gym, whether it's, doing your cardio or lifting, or if it's just all about numbers, like sets of numbers, it's going to be hard to connect to that and really, I think, get lost in that moment of really enjoying it and finding something to progress with. It's a different story when, you realize how that applies to real life functional, movements that are going to allow you to just live with more life and more action in everything that you do.
Right, and going from like an example of, you compare like a bodybuilding into a CrossFit. So you see a lot of times CrossFitters year round look good, they're able to perform high level, and bodybuilders have this ripped physique, look statuesque, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But then what people don't realize is when they are at that form where they're at their peak physical condition, that looks like they're actually they're the least physical to condition.
Super depleted.
Oh, yeah.
Super depleted.
Yeah.
Your calories are low. Your water intake's low. It's not you're at the least healthiest state you can be.
Your body's like a survival instinct.
You're not going to survive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of times, like, coming from both of those backgrounds in bodybuilding, it's like, man, I want this year round. And you only, in real life, you keep that physique for a week, 2 weeks after you're done with the show. But, I mean, that's what I found with going into CrossFit is that, or it's similar to the football. When we played ball, it's like year round, you're ripped, you can move,
it's
do
a
whatever.
Byproduct.
You're byproduct of everything you exert. But I think people have to start understanding is like how you physically look sometimes isn't the full picture of how you are in your health or in your performance.
Right. Oh, completely. And I mean, to touch on the same thing, just briefly on nutrition, the same thing goes for people are there's a difference between eating for performance and eating for body composition.
Right.
And it's like, same thing if you're going to training, a byproduct of looking really good is performing really good, and it's like when you're able to perform functional lifting and movements, your body's going to utilize the food that you eat that much better, and it's going to utilize energy that much different. And a byproduct of it is you're going to get the body and physique that you want without obsessing over it. Because it's like there's this whole idea of like this badge of courage that you get from the discipline of eating chicken and broccoli and going low carb, and it's like that's not cool. If that's what you're doing, like you're giving up so much of the joy of life just to be able to go put in hours at the gym. Like, oh yeah, I did. I put in 2 hours at the gym and this and that and slaving away. And it's like just to get this physique. And it's kind of like, it's kind of a turnoff or an unattractive type of thing if that's what you're always trying to do all year round.
Right.
And I respect the people that are they're training for a show or a competition because that's something that they want to, put themselves through that type of challenge or that type of obstacle.
Sure.
And they put themselves through that. But like every given day, if that's what people have to connect that with, it's going to be hard for people to get started and I think sustain that for the long term.
Well, I think whether it's bodybuilding, CrossFit, professional sports, the extremes of any fitness lifestyle, at the far end of the spectrum, you start to creep into, making that lifestyle unhealthy, where you're a peak performer or your body fat's at an all-time low, but you swung the pendulum so far to the left that you're now starting to inhibit a lot of natural processes that occur in the body. But when I see people come to the gym and I want to lose 20 or 30 pounds, my first question back to them is, why do you want to lose that 30 pounds?
Oh, yeah.
If you're obviously overweight, borderline obese, maybe obese, whatever, yes, that's it's going to be a necessity that you lose some weight, but why 20? Why 30?
Why those numbers?
Where does that number come from? And 9 times out of 10, it's just an arbitrary goal that really doesn't have any significance to them whatsoever. It's very rare that I come across the individual that, was, in tune with their body enough to know that, at 150 pounds, that's when they felt their best.
Yep.
Right.
People just, for a lot of the time, come in and they're just like they just have these arbitrary numbers in their mind that society has said this is what you need to weigh,
right?
And there's really no connection to that number.
Sure.
That signifies sticking with a process all the way through.
Yeah.
Right.
It sounds good and it's a reference, but I mean that relates to the whole thing. Like calories are not created equal, and it's the same thing. Weight is not created equal. I mean there's so many studies lately that have documented like measurements of longevity. Healthy longevity is muscle mass, compared, because I mean muscle mass is going to affect most degenerative diseases right now are metabolic conditions, which are related one way or another to your metabolic rate. And having a more, I'd say, a more optimal body composition is going to have better muscle mass compared to the fat mass on your body is going to be a better, I think, statement or something to measure how your body is going to live, bone health to immune health to longevity. And so it's like there's nothing tied with being at a certain weight and so on. You know what I mean? And so it's like I think, again, that's just a reminder of learning to know yourself and know your body. And it's obviously we know that muscle weighs more than fat. And so it's like if people could understand that they're working more towards being healthy and functional rather than just losing that weight, because it's easy to lose weight, but commonly people go on these extreme diets and they're losing muscle rather than weight. And, and when your body starts to lose all that muscle, that's hard on the body to break that down. It has to go through a stress, action to be able to go through all that. And that's something you don't want to do.
Well, what I've seen in a lot of people is they don't, when you're approaching fitness from a novice perspective, you're not always in tune with what's actually going on in your body. And that right there is a huge hurdle that we as fitness professionals spend a lot of time trying to overcome, and we don't do a very accurate job of getting the point across. You know, if your client, your member, your athlete comes to you with that arbitrary number, you know, oh, my goal weight is 130 pounds, but you don't explain to them that, and give them real-time examples of, you know, what their body's actually going to go through. The fact that, you know, they're going to be gaining muscle, which in turn will speed up their metabolism, which will in turn burn body fat, which can also put pounds on versus take pounds away. If you don't make that connection, if you don't paint that picture for them, the process becomes extremely discouraging. Right? No matter how great their clothes end up fitting, no matter how much better they're performing, you know, they're like, I haven't hit 130 pounds.
Right.
Therefore, I failed. Therefore, the process isn't worth it. Therefore, they go back to doing whatever they were doing before they came to see you, and now they're right back where they started.
And not only going back to where right before they see you, going back to not sticking with something consistent. You know, I mean, the biggest thing with any sort of training program is you can take a look at a lot of different training programs. Obviously, some of them are designed much better, but it's consistency. And it's what, and most people can't say that they've stuck with a specific program for more than, you know, a month or so before changing out because they didn't see the results fast enough.
Right.
And like you said, you have to let people know. And it's hard to do because if you're a trainer and you're working with somebody, it's like you want to show them the results that are going to give them that instant gratification that they're feeling better and that it's going to hook them. But, you know, I know from a weight perspective, usually the scale is going to go up a little bit before it goes back down. And that's, you know, that's a good natural state that their metabolism is, you know, going to kick back into gear. And it's, like you said, it's giving people that information up front and letting them know what to expect.
You know, whether they come to grips with it or not, you know, just being conscious of what's going on, they're far more likely to see it all the way through than not, than they would be if they weren't equipped with that information. And, you know, it's something that we all talk about, you know, behind closed doors as trainers, coaches, and athletes. But, you know, average Joe doesn't necessarily understand that process and why it occurs. I mean, and you know, why I'm so hard up on this topic is it's easiest for me to relate to the athletic setting because that's just my background. But when I was performing at my best, I was a very smooth 235 pounds.
Smooth.
Right? I was my fastest. I was my strongest. That was probably my most limber. Didn't have, you know, very many mobility issues either. But when I looked my best, and this is the kicker, when I looked my best, I was a very unhealthy 200 pounds on stage, you know, photo shoot ready, as they say, at, you know, 3.5-4%, you know, and getting on stage that day, a 5-year-old could have kicked my ass.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so people really need to understand that there's a definite happy medium between how you look and how you live.
I think, like, going back to the example of people not understanding their goals and perspective, because I have a lot of people contact me through social media, friends from college, they've seen my progress or whatever, going from bigger to like how I look now.
How much did you weigh at your biggest?
Oh, 260 was my biggest after knee surgery in high school. And then freshman year in college, I was dropped down to about 230, and then got down to 180 ultimately when I was playing strong safety at school. So they saw the progress from freshman year in college to sophomore year, where I was just a lean 180 compared to a fat 260.
Sure.
And I say fat is because I was really sloppy. I was 5'9.5", 5'10". At 260. So you can imagine that was not good weight.
Right.
But I even got a message the other day, and she's asking, "Hey, I'm looking to lose 30 pounds. Whatever. I'm a home. I'm a mom. I have family to feed. You know, things like that. I have a busy schedule.
Sure.
How long do you think it would take me in 6 weeks? How many pounds do you think I can lose in 6 weeks?" Just give me a guesstimate.
Right.
And I responded, I said, there's a lot of factors that go into weight loss,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, I can't really give you a set number, because if you don't hit that number, you're going to be highly disappointed, because first, I don't know your metabolism. I don't know your day-to-day schedules, how much you're exerting a day. I don't know your current workout schedule. And apparently she hasn't worked out in months and wants to start picking it back up. So if you start working out early now, you're going to have a rapid weight loss in the beginning, but things are going to start tailoring off to where your body hits a point where it's not going to lose as much weight as it did the first few weeks. So I didn't get a response back because I didn't give a concrete answer, but it's from a frustration standpoint, of them not understanding that they're not looking for the long haul. They're looking for that 6 weeks, get that 30 pounds and done. Like, I just forget about my body after that. I'll go back to where I was, and how do you guys combat that when you get approached with these type of questions?
It's tough. I mean, that's the industry, not just the industry. I mean, the environment, the age that we're in, everybody wants a quick fix type of result. And they need to understand, first of all, that it's a lifestyle type of approach. And it's like, if somebody else is going to be given that answer, like, oh yeah, we can get you to lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, because it's sexy marketing style to say, like, take this get skinny quick pill and do this and do that type of thing. So it's like you have to hold people's hand somewhat, and sometimes they need a little tough love approach where you're not necessarily holding their hands, and let them know that it's going to probably take longer than you expect to lose fat in a healthy way. You're probably not going to be losing more than 1 to 2 pounds a week, and that's good, solid progress.
Mm-hmm.
But understand this is for the long haul, and you didn't gain all that weight overnight. That was over a few year period. So we have to get you in love with the idea of improving your lifestyle, of how much better you're going to feel, and redefining all the reasons why that you want to do it. But ultimately, you have to just let people know that this is a decision that you're going to have to take a step in the long run, of changing that lifestyle, and that it's going to be worth it. Explaining, give them some examples of people that have gone through all those different issues. But letting them know that there is no quick fix to this.
I've adopted this metaphor now where I explain weight loss like PRs. If you don't have an extensive training history, and by that I mean if you haven't been training for at least 5 years or more, when you come into the gym, regardless of what program you subscribe to, and you look at performance measures, and we'll just bro it out a little bit and we'll just talk about the bench press, right? If you haven't touched a barbell in years, if at all, in your life, once we teach you how, once we get a couple of sets under our belt, and then over time refine your technique, and then we test you, in that first 6 months, you're going to be making 20, 30, 40 pound jumps on whatever you're able to lift with, right? Well, the same thing applies to weight loss, right? In the very beginning, just by adopting a more active lifestyle and becoming consistent with it, in the very beginning, you're going to drop, a bunch of lbs. That's why, like, The Biggest Loser is so famous for people having this rapid weight loss inside of that first month, because they're just training out of their minds in the very beginning, and your body goes into this
and an extreme calorie reduction.
So you're not only depleted, but you're also you swung the pendulum so far to the right that your physical activity has gone way up and your caloric intake has gone way down.
Right.
You're going to lose a ton of weight really, really, really fast.
And a lot of it's inflammation too.
But then what happens is, over time, as your body adapts, you have to do a lot more work, and you have to make a lot more changes to stimulate just a little bit of gain, to add a couple of pounds to your lifts. I've been training since I was 14 years old, right? That's 16 years. 16 years. Shit, I'm old. If we were in the NFL, man, I'd be ancient. They'd be like, here's your waiver, get out of here. But now, I'm only making 5 to 10 pound jumps in my lifts like once a year, and we have people that are brand new to the gym. Like, we had a guy, today it's test week at CrossFit PHX, and we had a guy on his deadlift with a 25-pound PR, right? And he's only been with us for 18 months. And that's constant for him in the 3 or 4 times that we've tested over the last 18 months. And some would say that that's even too much, but he makes 20 to 35 pound jumps every time we test, and I tell him, enjoy that shit while it lasts, because eventually, it's going to come to a screeching halt, and it's going to be your windows of work are going to get bigger, and the gains you get from that work are going to be smaller. Well, the same thing happens with weight loss. Is you have this rapid weight loss in the very beginning, 10 to 20 pounds, depending, how consistent you are, and then eventually your body adapts. And this is where people lose traction. Your body adapts, and it's like, okay, we've settled into the routine. We know what to expect. Now, you come to that 1 to 2 pounds a week, which, only ends up, 5 to 10 pounds a month.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're like, what the hell happened? Why isn't it, all of a sudden it's the program's fault. It's the trainer's fault. It's not as effective as it used to be. And that's not the point. You still haven't committed to the lifestyle, and appreciate the fact that you're still heading in the right direction. And where I've seen people get the most success is putting themselves in an environment that's mutually supportive, where everybody's on the same track. And it's very interesting what CrossFit has done in terms of making that happen, because of the community effort, and everybody is driving for faster times, more work, bigger lifts. The mentality of, I want to focus on my performance, and I want you to perform better, and I want you to perform better, and you guys want me to perform better. I have now turned my attention away from the scale, and I'm only focused on getting better. And as a byproduct of that, the aesthetics and the weight loss take care of themselves, because ultimately your body's going to do whatever it needs to do to sustain a certain kind of performance, right? If you do nothing, your body's not going to do anything, right? And if you start asking more of your body, training for a bodybuilding competition, or training for a marathon, and assuming that, you're eating enough, I won't even say correctly, just eating enough, your body will do what it needs to do to establish enough balance for you to sustain that performance day in and day out. And it's a lot easier to achieve your aesthetic goals with a performance-driven focus.
Right, it's true.
Yeah, I think it's part of enjoying the process too. At the same time, it's got
to be fun, man.
A term I always use, I use it more with nutrition, but it's like, get addicted to feeling good. Like, you eat a certain way that makes you feel a certain way, and it's not about, like, I don't know, I enjoy breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert every single day, like, no doubt about it. And I just have created, like, flavor insurance, a way to do that with sauces and using seasonings. But when it comes to training, it's like, you have to get addicted to how it makes you feel, whether that's an outlet for you or something that you're able to measure that progress, that you're feeling good day in and day out, and if it's comparing yourself to different peers and whatever that is, you have to find that. Otherwise, if you don't, it's just, you're just not going to be able to sustain it long enough. And there's more to life than just hitting a certain weight goal, obviously, or even like a certain body fat percentage. Like, you can be miserable and look good. I see it all the time. People that just have no lives, and and it's like, you have to find what allows you to feel good all the time and perform. Like, wake up, not have aches and pains. If somebody wants to go hike or go on a trip somewhere, you can pick up your bag and go carry and move around.
Right.
Digestion, energy, all that stuff works together. So it's like, you gotta enjoy the process, and being able to, to measure towards performance. That's something that you're tracking. You're putting in the work, and you can see it. See it come out the other end. So,
I mean, as we stand here, we've all been training forever, and a lot of people might think that, we don't have those issues, or we don't battle those misconceptions as we individuals, you know. But when you see a lot of people, especially in the athletic community, who've been training for so long, that just lose the love for it, right? Like how many guys that you played with, you know, in high school and college who were ripped to shreds and strong as fuck, and now they're just, you know, super soft version of their former self,
Right.
you know? So what is it that keeps you in the game? I guess that's probably the biggest takeaway of this whole conversation is, you know, how do you stand here, you know, 15 years in the game or more and still love it?
Speaking for me, it's like, you know, I practice what I preach. So it's like I am a product of what I do. And it's like, I don't know, I think, you know, this life that we have is a gift. It's an adventure. And it's like, if you are given this one body, like this one vehicle that you have, you want to take care of it as well as you can so that you can go out and do the activities that you want. But I mean, with everything that I do, like I practice what I preach because I am my own product, you know, from a marketing perspective to a credibility standpoint and so on. I just know that I could without even thinking about it, name 10 reasons that are not even vanity related of why I do it, from a health perspective, of longevity purposes, you know, preventative purposes, to the mood that I'm in, the energy, the confidence, all those different types of things. And that's not even talking about the weight or having a six pack or anything like that. So it's like I'm in love knowing that I have at all times like 15 to 20 reasons why. And, you know, and until somebody proves that being in good shape, however you want to define that, is not great for you, you know what I mean? Then, you know, then we'll trade that in. But it's something that I've learned to enjoy. It's an outlet, and you know, it represents, you know, I think it's just it represents something. It's your character.
Sure.
For me, I think it was. I just remember how I felt when I was at a weight and the look I didn't want to be. You know, so I think every day I wake up, and it's just become one of those things. It's like, this is my release. It's relaxing to go to the gym.
Right.
Like, this is my way to decompress. Whether it's like things that are happening in your life and your job or anything, this is my outlet to surround myself with people who are driven towards a single goal, and you're able to help each other reach where you want to go in life, you know. But for me, it's really not hard. It's become a lifestyle. It's become a passion. I don't have to sit here and be like, oh, do I want to work out today? Do I not want to work? I don't have to fight that battle because I've already set that this is going to be a priority in my life, and it's going to help me achieve everything I need. It's going to give me the energy I want to do. It's going to surround me with the people I need to be with. It's going to help me help other people improve their lives, whether it's family, friends, or whomever. But if you don't represent, like you said, Jason, that lifestyle of you're saying you're a healthy person or healthy mind, it's like if you don't represent that, how can you preach it on somebody if you're not practicing that? And I think I've just been able to push myself just from the things I've gone through in my life, and that this was just focused me towards going down the path that I want to continue to go down, is health and fitness. You know, it's kept my balance in life, I guess, so to speak.
One quick, just last thing is, like, to me, it's a key that opens up more doors. Like, the more, like, it's a key that I know that I have that can allow me to do more things, go more places, and so on. So I just want to add that it's a key that you earn from taking care of yourself and putting in the due diligence that allows you to open up more doors, like, legitimately.
Well, I don't think people understand what happens in the gym from a social standpoint. And that's what's kept me in the game. Is never mind, you know, the aesthetics or the performance goals, which are, you know, all important and have their place. For me, you know, transitioning from one genre of fitness to the other, from competitive athletics to bodybuilding to CrossFit, and ultimately turning all of that into my business. What I found, it's the people that keep me going. Right. You know, I've had so many networking opportunities as a byproduct of fitness. True. Just being in the gym, let alone opening my own. And then that the accountability that comes from that, not even from like a hardcore standpoint that, you know, we were supposed to train at 6:00 this morning. Where were you at? You know, it's like, it comes from a place that's completely genuine. When I watch our athletes and our coaches hold each other accountable, you know, we missed you. Where have you been? you know, and they kind of put you in a position indirectly to really confront your own excuses and, you know, call yourself out on your own bullshit. And it's that social accountability, and the fact that the people that I admire, that I like to be around, that, you know, if you want to be superficial, really superficial about it, the people that, you know, drive the cars I want to drive, make the money I want to make, have the relationships I want to have. The common denominator amongst all those people, regardless of industry, has always, for me in my life, been fitness. Like, they've all taken their fitness seriously, whether they wanted to be the most jacked dude in the room, they wanted to train for a marathon, they wanted to lose a handful of pounds. Like, the goal doesn't matter, but fitness, you know, they all wanted to be in shape, whatever their interpretation of that is, right? So the people that I found to have the most positive life in all facets all took fitness seriously. You know, that doesn't mean that they were all like, you know, super ripped or supermodels or, you know, really great athletes. Like, that's not the point I'm trying to make. They made it a point to get in the gym, drive a little performance, and be a better physical representation of themselves than they were yesterday. And that kind of translates to everything else that they do in life.
Right, true.
You know, and when you look at, you know, the people that you've worked with over the years, the ones that are the most consistent in the gym tend to be the most consistent in life. And I find that to be a very interesting correlation. So for me, it's 100% a social gratification. Like, the people that I train with, the people that I coach on a daily basis, just so happen to be people that I don't mind spending time with.
Right.
So it works out that, you know, my social outlet also turns out to be my fitness outlet.
You had a good point.
So I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. You know, some key takeaways is don't, you know, shift your focus ultimately to something that you can find facilitates the enjoyment of the process. That's the biggest deal, because if it becomes a chore, or the quote unquote results come too slow, you'll ultimately not see the process all the way through, and you'll just be right back to square one. So put yourself in a position where you actually enjoy what you're doing, and the likelihood of success, whatever your goal is, increases exponentially. So that's it for episode 3. You know, for myself, Jason, and Jeff, thanks for letting us join you on your journey. You can follow us at Feed Me Fuel Me on all social media platforms, and check out feedmefuelme.com for any and all information regarding us or what's coming next for the podcast. So again, thanks for joining us on episode 3. We'll see you next week.
There you have it, crew. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to check out the full show notes and get connected with us at feedmefuelme.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to all of our information and social media on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter at feedmefuelme. We're looking forward to connecting with each and every one of you. If you found this episode inspiring in any way, please share it with your friends on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, or any other social platforms that you use. We really appreciate you spending your time with us today and allowing us to join you on your journey. We would like to end this episode with a positive quote by an unknown author. Your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with positive thoughts, your life will start to change. Thank you again for joining us, and we will catch you on the next episode.